there is a tendency for people from Black minority ethnic groups to automatically assume they, as in we, don't belong because we are the minority and because people are more likely to ask us, where are you from? Do you think this is a self-fulfilling prophecy that we automatically make ourselves not belonging? Shimo?
I think that's inevitable. It really is. I know certainly when I started working in Norfolk and Waveney, it was really, bear in mind I'm from Leicester, which is a really multicultural city. And then I started working in Norfolk and Waveney, and it is a very white county, and the organisations that I work with are predominantly white. So I remember the first meeting that I went to face, and I naturally gravitated towards somebody that looked like me. I almost couldn't believe that they looked like me. I actually kind of went up to them and said, "Are you actually really Asian? Like, really, are you Asian in Norfolk? What are you doing in Norfolk?" But you naturally gravitate towards people that look like you, because then you've got a sense of you've got, I guess, you feel comfortable, don't you? There's a safety, a safety net there when you've got somebody that looks like you in the room. But I know that I certainly feel quite intimidated when I'm the only person of colour in a meeting, even if it's in a virtual meeting and I'm the only brown face. I find it quite intimidating.
In what way do you find that intimidating?
I find it intimidating because so quite often, especially because of the role that I do, which is equality, diversity, inclusion, I'm naturally seen as the panacea for it all. I've got the answers to everything, and they looked towards me for the answers. And actually, I'm, my lived experience only goes so far. I can't speak on behalf of all Asians. I'm from Bangladesh, and that, we're not one homogenous group. So to think that I'm a subject matter expert for everything, I think is wholly inappropriate and wrong. But that's what they naturally, assume. And that, I find that quite intimidating, because you happen to be from a particular protected characteristic. Everybody just assumes that you are an expert in that field. And they're looking to you for the answers. So yeah, I find those situations very intimidating. But also, when you are the only person of colour, you're almost carrying the weight and the responsibility of everybody else from a underrepresented group on your shoulders. And you feel you have to be the voice for them. And that again is quite intimidating when you are, you're a minority and everybody else doesn't seem to be showing any particular affinity with that, or a particular allyship with that as well, and you're the lone voice in that space.
Yeah. Wow, thank you so much for sharing that, and for really giving us a bit of an insight into what it can feel like when we are sort of in that minority and the roles that we play. Anything to add, Jute?
Yes. I mean, I that must be so tiring, Shimo. I mean, I've found myself in that position where I'm almost the advocate for all individuals that identify, that are Black or of ethnic minority, and I try not to anymore, because I think there's so much information out there now. I am one person. I'm not like every single Black female that you will come across in your life. And there's so many variations of us. Like, you have Africans, you've got British Africans, people that identify as British Caribbeans, or, we all have very different personalities. And then you go to the Americas, which is a whole different side of things. And to answer your question, Sylvia, I don't think it's self-fulfilling. I think, the word racist and racism is one overarching word. And then you have things like microaggressions. And I think this is something that I've come to deal with in, my whole life. There's something, it's kind of like chipping away at you, like when you're carving and it's just chipping away and chipping away and chipping away. So it's not that we don't bring it on ourselves. We experience it day in, day out, day in, day out. You go to a different space and it's the same thing. The grass is never greener after a while. And you just think, oh, maybe this place would be different, and it's not. So it's tiring. It's tiring being the only voice of a Black person. It's tiring being the only Black person in the room. I work in sales, heavily male dominated and heavily white dominated. It's been hard for me to build this shell of nothing will get nothing will get at me, but it still does. It still does. You know, especially with the pandemic, it was almost like this protective bubble for most Black people, or most people of ethnic minority, like someone that felt like they didn't belong and worked in a space where they just weren't represented. It was a bubble. And then we were let back out. And I was like, oh yeah, this is why I hated coming into the office. So it's not that we don't want to do these things. It's not that we're expecting these issues. It just, we know it, we see it every single day. We experience it. So it does get tiring, and maybe I will walk into a room sometimes and just be like, I wonder what the conversation is going to be, and who's going to be the first one to say, oh, your hair's lovely. Where's it? You know, what's your hair? And no. Oh, you've changed your hair again. Like, you kind of anticipate it. And in a way, maybe we shouldn't, but we've had years and years of the same questions in different scenarios. You kind of know how it goes. So you kind of expect it. I think there was one time where I changed my hair in a new job, and no one asked me. Eventually the question did come, but it wasn't on the first day. And even I was shocked. I was like, wow, okay, this is different. So, and then, you know, it's sometimes, again, it's out of curiosity, and curiosity is fine. But when it's being constant and it's never, not always curiosity, is when it becomes a problem. So I don't think we go into situations, you know, expecting that it's not going to be great because we are different or because we are Black. We don't have that. We don't go with that mindset.
There was something that you said, there was some language that you used that pricked me a little bit there, Jute. And that was, you said, there are so many variations of us. Now, there's so many variations of me. There's so many variations of everybody. I wondered why you needed to say that.
I think because in most cases, there is always a stereotype. And regardless of what you identify as, nationality, ethnicity wise, if you look a certain way, you are instinctively painted and described with that stereotype. And I think for me, one I've always dealt with is the angry Black woman. I'm not angry. I'm passionate, but if I'm very expressionate and I'm very like this, it's kind of like, oh, calm down, Jute. Can't tell you how many times I'm just talking and someone has just been like, Jute, calm down. Calm down for what? I've done nothing. I was just talking. Or I'm speaking and then I'm hushed and I'm trying to, you know, pick up from where I was. And it's like, oh, well, you've been talking and I'm like, I've literally said 2 words. So it's not, when I say variations, it's, yes, there's so many different versions, and similar with English people or white people in general. Yes, there's variations of you, but it's not the same. You're not being painted with the same brush that we are.
But isn't that part of the issue when we use language, that we say there are so many variations of us that we think that way? There are so many variations of all of us in this room now, you know, that we are different. And I'm struggling a little bit to see whether it's my uncomfortableness with that language, or that you feel the need to catalogue it in that way.